Welcome back to Tap In Tap Out. I'm your host Alex, and as always in this podcast, we are tapping into discussions around mental wellness, spirituality, and pop culture, and tapping out the patterns that no longer serve us. Amen. How are y'all doing this week? I like to say I'm a steady okay because I just feel like it's the safest answer to give. Truthfully, I'm a little annoyed today, and I will tell you why. Um, anyway, before I get into the mess of this introduction, as always, we do have a guest later, and so we're gonna do a little bit of catching up, and then I'll talk about what we're doing today. So, just so we're on the same page, and so we're landing in the same, just so you're aware where I'm at. This month has been super busy for me, with work, and so I have been really trying to get a lot of things done at a very high quality, in a short amount of time, and it's been hard. And so I will have a break in December for a few weeks, which would be great. Not from the podcast, but from work. Um, and I think I have a Thanksgiving break in a couple weeks, and so that'll be great as well. But this week I was like, okay, I do need groceries. I need to take care of myself, take care of the house. And so I ordered groceries, restocked, got myself together, and I had bought groceries with the intention of making a cheesecake today as of recording. This is a Friday. And I've been sitting on this cheesecake fantasy all week, getting excited. This morning I put out the eggs, I put out the cream cheese, getting things room temperature, because sometimes when you mix it and it's cold, it gets lumpy. And so I'm tired of lumpy cheesecake. I need to do it right today. And so I was letting it sit out in the counter. I'm getting ready. And about an hour ago, I was doing laundry. And I realized that I didn't buy an ingredient that I needed for the cheesecake. But I was so thorough with my grocery store purchase that I don't want to go back just for one thing. But I literally need this one thing to make the cheesecake. It's the sour cream. So that's how I'm coming in today. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here and live this life. But I'm a little annoyed. So I'm trying to find other things I need. But now I'm just spending money I don't want to spend. So that's where I'm at today. Other than that, I'm actually doing really good. Getting a lot of work done, like I said. And so just being able to see the new year on the horizon, honestly. I can't wait for the new year. I love the new year energy. It's in a really important time for me to reflect on what has happened. And this year has been a lot of transition for me. And I think recently I've been realizing just how that's been affecting my mental health lately and my outlook on life in general. And just how much I've done this year. This year has felt like 2 years, 2.5 years in total. It's just been kind of crazy. And so I'm really excited for the break, just to take a pause and really take inventory, and see where I'm at. So yeah, feeling super, I don't know. I've been really emotional lately. I think I say this every week, but every week I'm like, oh, I'm emotional, guys. But truly, it's just a very I don't know, sensitive time for me. But I've been realizing that I think part of that is just how much my life has just changed so rapidly, and just being able to catch a break will be very helpful to ground myself. Speaking of grounding myself, let's talk about music for a couple minutes. It's funny because when I do feel kind of not grounded, I tend to go back to older songs or older artists, just to I don't know, return back to something I knew before and stuff. And so this past few weeks I've been listening to a lot of Avril Lavigne. Very, very, very random, I know. I don't know where this came from. Actually, I do know where it came from. I was on Twitter the other day, and those music accounts, they'll post a 43-second clip of a bridge in a song. And so they did that with an Avril Lavigne song, and I was like, I miss Avril Lavigne. And so I would listen to Avril Lavigne lately on the way to school. Yeah, when I do my dishes. I don't know. Something about her is just reminds me of, emo days. Also, do y'all remember Chantel? I hope is there someone out there that remembers Chantel? Because she's one of those people that I used to play a lot, but I played her song so much that I deleted it off my phone because I was tired of myself and tired of the song. But it's not her fault. It's really because I played the song too much. And so, basically, on The Voice, this season, which I have been watching, there was this contestant, Shadell, and she sang Chantel's song "Impossible." And when she was like explaining the song, I was like, oh my gosh, like I used to love this song in like ninth, 10th grade. Like, I don't know. And she started crying on stage, and I was like, girl, like, I don't know. It was a lot for me because I was like, I have my own attachment to the song. And so for her to have her own attachment to it and her story, I was just like, girl, I see you. I see you. So I re-downloaded the song after that. And she has another song. So it's Impossible. Please look up Chantel's song T-shirt because it's one of her like popular songs, but like I used to bop, bop, bop to that song like daily. Like, and I've been playing it on the way to class, and I get my entire life. Like, oh, I love nostalgic music. I just love it. It just takes me back. But yeah, so watching The Voice. Right now they're in the live playoffs, and I'm stressed. I don't know what to do anymore. I've given up on trying to pick a winner or pick people that I think are gonna do well because I don't feel like it's gonna be the person I want to win, and I'm accepting the fact of that because I'm just done. But on the Voice app, you have to pick like your top 3 people now, which is insane because there's like 13 people left. I'm like, I don't know, and I feel like who I want to win is never who really wins. And so, in case you're watching, um, again. This is like who I think can win, and who I definitely will want to see win. So there are people that like I really want to see win, but I don't think they will win. And then people that I don't want to see win, who I really think will win. So these are people that I have a chance of actually winning in the show's like trajectory, and somebody if they win, I actually would want to see them win. So, it's a girl named Jiminy. Amazing. I mean, I just can't. From the blind auditions to now, it's been crazy. Please look up her cover on The Voice. Well, POV by Ariana Grande, but also Pillow Talk by Zayn. I mean, I literally get on my seat several times when she starts. And then I have Holly down. Holly's this mom on the show, and well, they're both moms. Jiminy and Holly are both moms. But I love Holly's. I love her. I just love these people. Someone needs to win from Team Ariana. I'm just gonna say it because I have Holly and I have Jim and Sasha, who is a duo, father-son duo. They're so precious and their harmony is so good. I don't know. So my top 3 right now are Holly, Jiminy, and Jim and Sasha. Jim and Sasha counts as one because they're a team. And so Jiminy's on Team Kelly, and then Holly and Jim and Sasha are on Team Ariana. And so I don't know, but there's also Wendy on Team Blake, who I think definitely deserves it, and she's talented. Jershika was a strong favorite of mine on Team. Well, she's on Team Legend now, and the list goes on. I guess everybody. But they already sent my people home, so I'm already upset about it. Samuel went home last week, and I am just blown away. I'm like, but I don't think it's anyway. This is really not the Voice podcast, but his song choice or the way that he sang the song wasn't my favorite either. So I'm not surprised he went home, but at the same time, I really thought he could win the show. He's my favorite guy contestant on the show. Anyway, that's enough voice talk. I apologize. But I will let you know who wins, I guess, when I find out, and I'm let you know how I feel about it. Also for music, last week we talked about Insecure, which I guess is also the last episode recap. And so, last episode we talked about Insecure. We talked about season 5 starting. Season 5 is also the end of the show, and so we just spent some time unpacking what the show has meant for me and the community, and talking about mental health in our friendships and what it means to really be there for each other in these troubling times. But I did want to mention, following up from the episode last week, that if you guys are into any of the music on the show, it's one of the best parts of the show is the music. And there's an official playlist on Spotify. They update it every week. Um, and they actually have done like insecure like writing camps. Like they invite artists to come in and they're literally writing music, original music for this show. And so it's truly a world in itself. Insecure franchise, the Insecure industry. It's an industry. Like I just love this show and what it means to everybody. So yeah, I'm really excited about how the show's ending. There's a lot coming up. I can't even get into it because I don't want to stress myself out again. But let's just say I'm on the edge of my seat for what's going to come. All right. So this week we have a special guest with us. I was able to sit down with, well, virtually, we sat together, with Toni Jones. She is a musician and affirmations specialist. I mean, she's just, I don't know. I do a lot of this when I talk to her, so I'm not even gonna go into this right now. But she's an amazing creative, doing a lot of great work in the music industry, mental health industry, with music and affirmations. And she has an album coming out. This is coming out on the 16th. This episode is coming out on the 16th. However, I think her official album release is coming out on the 18th. But as of right now, there's a pre-release, so you can listen to some of the songs on iTunes and Amazon, I believe. But the album is called Me versus Every Me. And while you're waiting, if you listen to this before the 18th, she has a few albums out already you can listen to that are just so generous with her music. Definitely have been adding those to my morning routine and like my daily routine, just like inviting positive affirmation in your life and ones that actually challenge you and think about, your life in deeper ways. And so I sat down with Toni to talk about her upcoming project and also just the work she does around affirmations. And really, it was really fun for me because y'all know I love affirmations, and all that kind of stuff. And so just really getting into the roots of what it means to really affirm yourself. And so yeah, I'm gonna take a quick break, and when we get back, you'll hear my conversation with Toni Jones. All right, so it is time for the tap in, and this week is very special. This week is about affirmations. I am so excited. As you guys know, I'm an affirmation king, wannabe king. I need to do better. But we have someone in the house who is an expert. Her album is coming out very soon. I think by the time you listen to this, it'll be out in all your platforms. Me versus Every Me, Affirmations of Self-Love. I'm so excited to talk to her. Her name is Toni Jones. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here and share how I show up in the world with your audience.
Yes, I have questions. This is a structured interview. However, before we start, I gotta get this out of the way, get out my system. But I discovered you through, I couldn't even tell you. It's just God's grace because I was looking for like new music and I was like in a rabbit hole of like different music on Spotify, and I just stumbled on your artist page, and I think like the title of like one of your albums stood out to me, so I like pressed it, and I was thinking it was gonna be kind of like, and I'll get to this a little bit maybe later, but like it reminded me a lot of like Indie Ari and just the way she did her album covers. So I was like very intrigued in that way. When I pressed it, not that it wasn't what I expected, but it was just so direct in how your lyrics and your verses are just so like, this is an affirmation and you're receiving it. And it was definitely, it's almost a shock to my system because I don't talk to myself like that, regularly. And so I set time aside to practice that. But to have an album of music that was like dedicated for affirmation, I was like, oh my gosh. And like every lyric that I've listened to that I try to listen to before this interview and just in general in my free time, like I could sit with for a month, just like thinking about that thing, like to jump from like verse to verse. I'm like, wait, I need some time, you know? But in the best way, because you don't get that much streams of positivity at a time. Sometimes it's like, poetically woven into like a full song, or it's maybe just one part of like a bigger picture. But to have a song that's like, and songs that are like just pointed at positive self-talk and seeing yourself in the best light, acknowledging like, who you are as a person being so valuable. It was just so in the best way. I shocked myself just like how much it was just so life-giving to listen to. So I need to like get that out because yeah, you have a stand over here. So I just want to let you know.
Yes. Thank you so much for being the stand. I appreciate that.
I don't use that lightly. So we're gonna get into this. I'm gonna keep my cool. But I love affirmations, and had I been musical, I would have invested some time in seeing how that could work together. But I'm happy that there are people in the world who are gifted enough to do both amazingly, and share that with everybody else. So, um, as we get into this, I did my reading, but just people that don't know, just your background when it comes to your career, where you started, where you ended up now, and just how you're feeling about all this right now in your life.
Oh yeah. Well, I grew up here in Michigan, Metro Detroit, and music has been a part of my informal life, like, just church, community, and family. And, you know, fast forward to my adulthood, I went to get my degree in psychology, and I just became very, I don't know, engulfed in understanding human behavior. I've gone through a lot of dark times with people, and I'm like, how do people love and still do this to other people? Like, I don't
Mm,
get it. And so I'm like, do I have that capability? So these type of questions, this type of curiosity led me down, a few rabbit holes that led me to wellness, well-being, and understanding human psychology and behavior. And so I started a wellness brand that was all about women wifing their life, the well-being, conscious well-being, so they don't, burn out from workaholism. And from doing the life coaching work, it led me to, hearing the voices of so many women around like what are the barriers to their well-being. I actually, uh, part of being an entrepreneur, actually my business being a life coach led me to working with youth and working on projects around youth advocacy and positive school culture. So those like 5 to 7 years, I was working with not only female entrepreneurs, high ambitious women, but I was working with teenagers in high schools. And so I was getting the experience, the internal experiences of young people and women.
mm,
And so I was like, the biggest thing that is happening is um, spiritual, soulful malnourishment. No one is really nourished on a body, mind, and soul level. Everyone is producing and performing. And so these type of thoughts, this type of awareness, this type of analyzing of my immediate communities of clients and the people that I serve led me to affirmation music. I wanted to create something for my clients and for the young girls I were mentoring, something that they can practice well-being and integrate healing on the go.
mm,
And what more brilliant way to do that is through music. And
right.
so, yeah, that started my journey, with just trying to create something that was, some passive income,
Yes.
and also create something that was a tool for people to use. And that turned into something to where now I'm a musician. I had no intentions of that happening, but I love that it did.
I love that so much. So because I got the chance to listen to your album, I have some thoughts running things in my head. I just got to get out. Um, stylistically, I love even to this morning I was like listening to it, and I love when you switch from like that monologue, I want to call it, into like you starting to sing. I don't know what's your relationship to like actually singing the words that you affirm, but I would
Which
like
album are you talking about?
this is the one that's out would be out now, the newest one. Me versus Every Me.
Okay.
So
Oh yeah,
there
that comes out on the 18th. Yeah.
yes, yes. So listening to that, I just love the moments when you switched from that monologue to singing. I immediately got emotional. And when you mentioned just now the power of music, I think that's kind of what it does for me because there are ways that, your parents talk to you and like they tell you things and you listen and you just take it down, you move on with your life. But like music has a way of being very subversive in how it like talks to the soul. And so I can like read books on affirmations and I can like ingest so many guided meditations that are very like straightforward, but I think by you infusing this affirmation in music, it almost acts as this vessel, this like spoonful of sugar almost, that because I love music so much,
Mm.
my heart like almost jumps to it. And I think that it's going against this natural inclination of mine sometimes to reject like positive self-talk. Like, do I really deserve hearing that about myself? Like, do I really deserve those words on my life? But because music is something that in like we ingrain ourselves in, I almost can't do that quick enough. That urge I have to like to block good messaging, it doesn't have a chance to get there because
Mm.
you combine that with this melodic thing and it's really powerful. And I think that I'm a geek, so I think this is just really fascinating to me on a psychology level, how beneficial this has would be and is to so many people. um I'm amazed. So again, this is just me standing some
Thank
more.
you. Thank you. I think you're talking about the song Talk to Me Nice.
Yes, 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 yes.
Thank you. I love the way you unpacked your appreciation of that song. Brilliant.
And there's also I might get this wrong also, thank you for being so generous for this dance because I respect every artist. Some artists only want to give you the 5 songs they think are the best. With your albums, you give generously, and I thank you so much for that. And so I don't know if I
Mm.
can get the track right, but I believe it might be Better Love. I'm not sure though. But overall in your album, this is probably a theme in most of your albums, but you do an awesome job at not only affirming the present and like what's coming in the future, but also making room for what has happened in your life and how you haven't shown up for yourself in lots of ways. I think that's the biggest thing for me that's been tugging on me lately with certain of some of your songs is just this idea that acknowledging that you haven't been the best to yourself. And that's okay because you in your present moment you can do what's best for yourself now. I wonder like if that's a common theme in your life that you want to touch on, or is it just like a big part of your affirmation work?
Yeah, I mean, that's a part of wholeness. That's
Right.
a part of self-love. That's part of self-acceptance, real self-acceptance. Is being able to look at your multidimensional reality of past, present, and future and being able to say, I accept, I love all of them equally. My past that's brought me to this present moment, and my present moment that's supporting me to cultivate the future that I want to experience. And so in order for you to do that, you can't judge one as better than the other, or you can't try and run away from them. You have to be able to integrate them in a way in the present moment. That's what's so fascinating about being a multi-dimensional being is that you literally, like right now, you're on this podcast with me, but you can imagine the color of your bathroom right now.
Right.
You can imagine, the color of your toothbrush right now, even though you're in this present moment looking at this phone, this technology, technological device. You're interviewing me, but your imagination can take you into a whole nother reality. That's a powerful aspect of being a human being that has this capacity to flirt with the past, present, and future all at the same time. So it's definitely a cornerstone in the themes of how I show up in the world, how I show up in myself. So of course it's going to filter on into my art and whatever I create.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Um, I'm wondering how your creative process has maybe changed or any kind of shifts in it due to the pandemic, because I feel like for me, the world is so noisy, and there's so much to do and so much to attend to, especially if you're working or in school. And I feel like when everything shut down last year, it forced a lot of people to look inside, and I don't think a lot of people really enjoyed what was happening inside of themselves when they were forced to look. And so I'm wondering
Mm.
for you, being somebody who pre-pandemic was so invested in that introspection, did you see any shifts in how you worked creatively when you were forced, almost caged in some way? Did you see a reflection in the work that you produced?
Well, for me, my reality in 2020 was a extreme contrast to how the world experienced it. I definitely like I had a relative that had COVID and it was really bad, like really, really bad. But the way that I experienced 2020 was different because 2019 was like my 2020,
Mm,
where I was at home majority of the year. Like I couldn't work majority of the year because there was a job conflict going on. Um, my identity was challenged. Things that I had been ignoring that I did not know I was ignoring was coming up because I had more time for myself. I was always on the go. I had about 70 people that had immediate access to me, young people, colleagues of mine, friends, family, everybody had access to me and I was always showing up. Yeah, it was my first time in my life where I had to actually face what was going on a deeper level. It was like, okay, I've experienced this introspection for these years, but there's a next level of depth that I have to go within. And so 2019 prepared me for 2020. So whatever
mm,
I created during the pandemic was really more so coming from my experience of 2019, which helped me prepare to be somewhat of a support for those who were going through this clash of awareness of what they was going on, like what they were seeing about their inner world. And I was enjoying so much of my inner world in 2020 because I was already got a head start with
mm,
intentionally curating this space of joy and discovery. Like I felt like I was born again, to be honest with
right.
you. I felt like I was like, wait a minute, what does life look like with me just organizing my life around joy,
Mm,
orienting my life around feeling alive, and it was baby steps. And the more I took, and the more I practiced that, the more I started to realize, oh, okay, this is what I want to do. I don't ever want to have this type of paradigm of thought and approach to how I work ever again because I'm always out of balance when I move that way. Always.
wow.
I'm always fighting to get back into balance when I'm moving that way. And so those ways of how I was moving prior to 2019 aren't sustainable, you know. So essentially, what I'm saying is that 2020 was a breeze. 2019 was the real pandemic for me,
Right.
which gave me a head start in cultivating more of my inner world through joy. So a lot of things that I created, like ICB mantras, um, ICB mantras, affirmations, and chill came from a place of uh, what I was always already experiencing from 2019.
Yeah, thank you for that. I love how even you're able to have you feel very grounded as a person. And so I really enjoy that when you commit yourself to this work. It sounds like an important product of that is just being able to ground yourself in almost like outside of time and outside of what's happening in the world, because you're not only living in the reaction of what's happening around you, but you're living in your own space as well, you know, and you give yourself space to like to be kind to yourself and to make room for yourself and people around you. And I think for a lot of, I'm calling myself out. Um, but that was something I realized I needed to work on a lot when the pandemic started. It's just how much of my life revolved around what happened outside of the house, you know, and like how much of my life was structured around what people wanted me to do with my life, right? And not what I wanted to do. And so it's just really powerful when I realized the importance of like self trust, even, you know, and am I actually
Yeah,
willing to like bet on myself, you know? And so not letting how things look outside guide or be a priority as to how I move, but being able to say like I've done this work in myself and there's a light inside of me that's guiding me where I need to be, you know? And I feel like
yeah,
you were able to accomplish that and have what would be a different pandemic because you were already tapped in, you know?
yeah, absolutely.
I'm wondering if, because I don't know how often you cycle through the affirmations you sit in as an artist and as a person, but I'm wondering if there's any affirmation right now that's really been key in your life in this season for you.
It's an affirmation that's been key in my life since December 31st, 2019. And it is, I create a life that I love, enjoy, and I'm proud of. And from this place, I inspire others to do the same. So it comes from the intention that I set on December 31st, 2019, that everything that I do in my life starts from a place of questioning, do I enjoy this? Do I love this? And does this make me proud of me, like proud of myself to do it? You know, and from this place, like whatever I create, whatever I do, I inspire others to think that same way, with however it resonates with them. So that's the affirmation that I have been grounding in since December 31st of 2019.
I love that. Is the new year important for you in your life? Like that New Year's energy?
No, no, because I literally pay attention to my own
Right.
I don't even know my own clock. Like there's a clock that I go by, my growth clock, if you will. I go through these cycles of renewal and rebirths and deaths um that I follow, that timeline. It's weird because I'm very aware of it. Like I just had to be reminded that holidays still exist
Right.
because the energy of holidays is translating into the energy of life for me. Like so it's
Mm.
no really special one day. It's like becoming I'm I have been practicing trying, cultivating a life that's oriented around joy so much to where I don't need special days to make me feel like celebration or connection or family. So it's like, oh yeah, holidays, like those are fun, but so New Year's, will I indulge in some activity? Maybe, I don't know. But I think that it's important for me to support people who look at New Year's as a new beginning, a new way of living, a new way of exploring life. So I'll definitely probably, create something or do something to acknowledge those who still abide by that notion of like New Year's, new me.
Yeah, I feel like as the years go by, I'm getting out of that habit. I used to be a really bad New Year's junkie. Like I have my checklist and I'm going through it. But I think as I slowly get better at that, I love how you mentioned like this growth clock. You know, like this, like your goals, this personal striving towards wellness is not tied to some external extrinsic motivation. And so I love that. And I think naturally over the years, I'm becoming a little less tied to needing that New Year's Day to like reset my life completely, because life is just, it builds on itself, And so
Absolutely.
again, tying it back to some of your music, I love how it isn't this dismissal of what has happened, but it's almost like this integration of everything all together.
Absolutely.
So I asked every guest this question. Oftentimes I feel like it's really easy to talk about what we need to tap into. So all this affirmation work, this great growth mindset, but it's also important when it comes to growing to tap out of some things. And so I ask every guest, what is one thing in your life right now? It could be from junk food to a toxic trait, but what is one thing in your life that you feel like you should be tapping out of right now in your season?
I know the answer clear as day. If I could pay somebody to do a surgery to remove this out of me, I would. It is overthinking.
Oh
Oh my God,
gosh.
the way that I overthink, the obsessive thinking about scenarios, about it is unreal. When I tell you I try to hide it so much. I was like, because if people knew what goes down in this brain of mine, they would be like slow, they would do that slow back away, like, let's leave Toni to herself, you know. But at least that's the story I tell myself because I have a challenging time handling this. Probably not that big of a deal, but it's exhausting sometimes to just be in your head, you know. So I'm always courting myself into my heart, into my body, into my play, into the present moment. Because if I give my brain that stage, it's going to run like in all type of havoc ways. But that is one trait I would love to tap out of more. And I'm actually learning how to do that through meditation.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna join you in the overthinking fan club. I guess the not fan club because I am the worst. It is definitely on my list to tap out of. Like I will like frantically be calling somebody sometimes because I know that that sometimes stops my patterns. If I can hear somebody else be like, "This is ridiculous, Alex. Like, how did you get here?" You know, and I think it's a manifestation of like my anxiety a lot of the times. Like I just think of the worst situation or and again back to this like how do I even see my life, like why do I have this inclination this is my, I'm not trying to project onto you, but for me with this overthinking a lot of the times it's why is it when situations happen that are ambiguous or don't have a clear definition of what it's going to lead to, why am I always inclined to think about the negative outcomes, how this can go bad for me, and why is it always like
Mhm.
this shifting towards it not working in my favor, right? And how's that a reflection of how I see myself and what I deserve as a person, you know? And so sometimes if I
Yeah.
listen to enough music or enough meditation, like I'll have a good hour where I'm like, you know what? I deserve this and blah blah blah. But in my normal like track record, I still lean towards negativity,
That
and I really something to work on.
true. No, I talked to I had a conversation with my youngest brother. I brought up a situation that I was going through with a friend last week, and I could not control her story.
Mm,
And I knew where I was like, oh, we might not be friends again like we were, like,
mm.
because this story has not only has her story triggered a story in me, now our stories are both on the stage and we don't know what to do with it. And so
Mm.
I'm just like, so we're just standing there looking at each other. So I ended up talking to my brother about it, and he was like, bro, relax, chill. It's probably not even that deep. Like, and it was just the way he said it, it was so like, you're probably right. And he was like, he said, you're focus on your music, focus on what is going right. Like, if you guys don't end up being friends, like, was she a great friend for the time being? I was like, yeah. He was like, then let it go. And I was just like, you're right. Just let it go. And I was like, well, what if she thinks I'm this, and that? And he was like, do you really care? And I was like, actually, I don't. He was like, so then let it go. So it's, again, having that thought allyship or thought partnership to, again, unpack that type of stuff helps to not be in your head. So again, like I think having someone to talk to and meditation definitely helps with tapping out of the overthinking and obsessive thinking.
Yeah. I have one last question for you, and I'm not sending you this question. It's just
Sure.
over the course of this conversation. I'm wondering, being somebody who is such a light to people, um, and also acknowledging you're a Black woman as well. I'm thinking a lot of right now about this, superhero, noble vision or idea that we place on Black women, especially those that seem strong and seem positive and seem capable to withstand. I'm wondering if you run into issues where people maybe dismiss when you do have a hard time or when you are struggling with your mental health. Is that a common experience for you, or do you find that you're able to show yourself in a way that's more embodied in that you thrive in certain
Um,
places, but also that you struggle?
um, how can I answer this? I'm not judging or shaming anyone, but the people who are closest to me are dismissive of it. Um, like I had one relative say, "Well, I didn't even think of it that way. You're just so strong." And he was like, he was just like, "You're just always so strong. So I wouldn't even think that you were thinking in that way where you would be fragile in that way." And I was just like, "Yeah, Dad, like I get like that." And so, but I've noticed that's been a consistent pattern. The closer people are to me, the more dismissive they are of my experience and my mental health because they're so used to me being strong or not opening up in those vulnerable ways. So no one really like, yeah, it's challenging for them because they like to people like to compartmentalize people so to keep
Yes.
themselves safe. So I get it. But people who are strangers, some people who have never met me, people who just met me, it's unreal how they can show up as someone who's known you your whole life. And it's just like, whoa. So it removes the judgment of the people that are close to me. It's like I don't even have an expectation of you being something that you're not anymore because God is going to always sustain what I need through the human family. I would love for it to come through you, but if you're not a channel for it to or a conduit for that type of energy to show up for me, it's criminal for me to expect that of you. If you only got $5 and I need $10, why would I ask you for your last? You're trying to get your own, you know? So I have to respect where people's bandwidth is, or even if they have the bandwidth, but they're not willing to show up in that way, that's fine. I mean, it's not, but that's life, you
Yeah.
know? So for me, I have learned in these past few years, just allow the energy that you need to come through all type of channels because you don't ever want to be so honed in and focused on the people that are close to you need to show up because then you miss out on the beauty of how love can come through all type of different ways that will blow your mind because I have been completely shook by strangers knowing exactly what I need, exactly when I need it. I'm like, how did you know this? You know what I'm saying? So it allows me to not hold those I love hostage. I don't hold them hostage to who they are and where they're at in life. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's my conclusion on that one. Like when it comes to my own experience and my mental health, and when I get vulnerable, when I'm not feeling superhero, I feel super human, you
Mm,
know, and like meaning that I'm all in my yes. When I'm feeling really human and really like basic, like caught up in my stories and self shame, and things like that, you know, I pay attention to who does show up, who wants to show up. I pay attention to that.
yes. That was directly for me. So thank you for that. This has been an amazing conversation I've gotten all my life. Hope those listening are getting their lives. Just a reminder, Tony's newest album, Me versus Every Me, Affirmations of Self-Love, will be out this month in November. The link will be in all the descriptions and all the places. Tony's anything you want to leave the people with today? Anything about your new music? Anything about what's coming up? Anything on your heart to share? This is your time as we close out the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, those of you who listen to this music, who are stands, as Alex says, I appreciate all your support, and the way you can advocate more of this message getting out into the world is share it. Follow me on YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube channel, take advantage of the free resources and accessibility that you have to the mental health things that I create, the messages, the music, the visuals, the art that I create to help us navigate this weird, complex experience. So follow me on YouTube, subscribe, share the links, the music, whatever resonates with you, share it with those you know who actually benefit.
That was such an important conversation for me. I didn't even realize going into it like how much I would have received from that conversation, and so I'm so thankful for Toni and her team for coming on the show and really just like letting me just have her for a few minutes to be able to, I don't know, get into some stuff. Like I truly I've been thinking about our conversation for a while. So I recorded that last week, but re-editing it and looking at it, I'm just like, oh, like I needed that specifically that day was a really weird day for me, and that conversation really kind of was a light in my week, and so I thank you so much to Toni for coming. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Please let me know what you thought about it. Anything that stood out to you, please DM me, comment on the post that you see. Please let me know. Again, if you guys are interested in Toni's music, you can find it on all streaming platforms. And that's the show, guys. So thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. I really do. I say it like every week, but I truly do. um, if you guys want to support the show, you have many ways to do that. You can donate to the show directly on Anchor. You can also join the Patreon in the description where I do bonus content. I'm starting because I talk about music all the time, so I actually started a little side music episode podcast thing that's not really tap in tap out, but it's just more focused on music. So that's exclusive for Patreon people. Look out for more things, live streams in the coming months. Also there is the newsletter you can sign up for that's free of charge. Bi-weekly. So the weeks that the podcast is not out, I release a newsletter. It's Animal Crossing themed, and so it's very cute. But I also release a private vlog, kind of catching up with you guys and talking about how I'm doing on a deeper level. Um, Also, if you guys want to submit a small business to be shouted out, you can do that via email at heartofshema@gmail.com or DM me on Instagram or Twitter at justalextoday. You can do that for anything else as well. Please follow me on those platforms. If you want to rate and review the show, please do that on Apple Podcast. 5 stars. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thanks. You can find this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, like I said, YouTube, Anchor, Google Podcast, all the places really. So yeah, thank you again for watching, listening. You didn't watch this, you listened. Sorry. If you're on YouTube, I guess you're watching a blank screen because I don't do the anyway. I'm gonna stop. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna keep all of this in because it's just me. And so y'all have a blessed week. I will see y'all when I see y'all. Thank you.